Hello YouTube, welcome back. I'm sorry that this video is coming out a bit later than I would have liked. I wanted it to come out on Friday, but we've been having some trouble with power in our neighborhood, so it's gonna come out today. And yeah, look at what we did last episode. I quite like it. There are some really minor changes to it, nothing significant. Just as I was preparing for this episode, walking around and passing it, the little protrusions at the top, at the peaks, that all the houses have, didn't work quite as well with the well. So I've taken those away, and I think that's the only real significant difference to it. But yeah, anyway, we're going to jump into it today. Right off the bat, we're going to build another building. We're going to have another little house in here because we need to populate our village. And I was thinking that we're going to build it right here. And it's going to be a fishing hut. So, a village right on the ocean. Obviously they're going to be fishing, right? There are going to be some boats. We're going to get to the boat building soon, I promise. I really want to build a big boat. It's one of the projects that I want to do on the server as well quite soon. I mentioned the server in the last episode. But yeah, this little fishing hut isn't going to have a big boat. It's probably just going to have these two little rowboats out on a little pier. It'll have a little jetty protruding out here, and the little rowboats will sit on that. Maybe the fisherman can just sit on the pier and fish. But yeah, we're going to have a little house. It's not going to be a big house, because I don't imagine a fisherman necessarily being, especially not one lone fisherman. It's not a big enterprise that feeds the whole village. It's one lonely little fisherman. I don't imagine him being extremely wealthy, so it's going to be a tiny little house, not too big, not too extravagant, and we're going to be sticking to the cobblestone again. Don't worry, we'll get to some more stone brick at some point. I was thinking that I might try and mix it up, because it's going to be sitting right next to the blacksmith. So I'm going to try and use dark oak instead of spruce logs. And I'm going to use oak instead of the birch, just so that it has some contrast. And when you're walking down this area, or down this pathway, I think this is the main point at which you're going to be viewing the fishing hut. You don't want it to look like it's part of the blacksmith. It needs to be a little different. And I actually think, looking at it, that it might need to be another block away. Just like that. Because then this one protrudes one block past. This one's going to protrude a block past. And then there are two blocks in between. So they're not right on top of one another. Also, I'm thinking that this little hut might not have been built quite as well as the rest. So instead of sticking to the usual 3 spacing between them, I was thinking to make it a little more uneven. And by uneven, I'm going to hate myself. We put in an even number. Just so that it reads from a bit of a distance as being not quite as well planned and thought out. Like, it's functional and it works, but it's not as perfect as the rest. This is one man who just lives alone, catches some fish during the day, maybe sells a couple, but ultimately just tries to feed himself. That's what I'm thinking, at least. 1, 2, 3. There should be another one. Actually, let's make... Come here. We're going to make this block like that. And I'm thinking probably that the inside of this house isn't going to be very useful. Because it's going to be quite small and insignificant. It won't have a second story because I don't want to obstruct the blacksmith as one walks in here, right? So you're going to be able to see the blacksmith's second story. Also, the blacksmith's windows are there so you can look out over the ocean from his bedroom. It's my thought process. So we don't want the fisherman to necessarily obstruct that view. wouldn't be very nice of him. Also, we can make one section a little bit smaller. You know? Odd numbers, not the usual strict rigidity that the other houses have, just so that it reads a little bit different. And then from here, I'm thinking that this portion of the house opens up outward, so the main entrance would probably be on here, and we'd give him some steps that go up onto a patio, and the patio flows directly into what will be his little jetty. And I'm thinking that we need about every 2 blocks or so. It's not going to be a big pier, just a little one. So every second block we can put in some supports for our jetty, the pier. I don't know if it's jetty or pier. Maybe it's just South Africans that call them jetties. My vocabulary isn't that great in English. I'm discovering as I'm going through this. Not going to be big, I just wanted to protrude past the sandbank a little. And doesn't even have to protrude past it a lot, just enough. And I don't want it to look really strange, so don't place blocks like that, because then it doesn't look anchored, doesn't look finished, whereas this, you can kind of imagine that that goes past and is anchored into the ground quite thoroughly. It's the thought behind it. And then probably what will end up happening is I'm going to stick to spruce for floors. Probably. We'll see. If I don't like it, then I can take it out. I think it'll probably be at that height, more or less. Yeah, I think that looks good. We want it to be above the water, right? One thing that I noticed walking around here this morning, prepping for this episode, was that this is a very flat little plateau on the ocean, and oceans have tides that come in and out, right? Now I know realistically this probably wouldn't all be one level, it might have slight elevation changes, but in Minecraft this is one level, and that might be bad, because if the tide comes in, our whole village floods. So one thing that I might do is I might make the main docks a block up, so that you approach from this when you take stairs up onto the docks and onto the piers that protrude out, which would probably be at this level, maybe even a level higher. We'll see. If it needs to be a level higher, then I can come in and I can raise this one up perhaps. But yeah, I think this is going more or less in the right direction. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut here. I'm gonna fill up the walls, and I'm gonna maybe just finish the pier going outwards, and then I'll be back with you guys with a progress report. Okay everybody, there we go. Bit of a progress report. There's enough difference that I think you can see it, and I think for what I've got planned for this area, probably a market stall, maybe 3 little market stalls over here on this main road, because you know you get travelers coming in from the docks, and then these people are here trying to their best to sell their wares to any new traveler that comes through this town. And I think once those are there, and maybe we plant a tree over here in between these two, I think that'll look pretty good. For now, I'm not opposed to it. I do have one concern though, and there's not that much that I can do about it, unfortunately, is that if I go and put a roof on this hut now, it's going to obstruct that view completely. So I'm thinking that I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Okay, probably something similar to how I did this section of the wizard's hut. Have it slanting that way, going up towards the left, but it needs to be a very shallow slant, a low slant, low gradient. That's the word I'm looking for, low gradient, to make that work. And I'm probably going to just have it slant in one direction. It can stop prematurely here and then carry on over that section a little bit, but I don't think it's going to have any interesting twists or turns. It's going to be very simple. It's going to be plain, easy to build, because this fisherman would probably have built it himself on his own with not a lot of construction know-how. I mean, he's a fisherman, not a builder. So I just brought you guys back in for a quick little update to show you that you can kind of see the difference. There's a good view. You can see the difference between the spruce and the dark oak and the oak and the birch. They kind of stand out enough that I think it works. It's okay that they're that close to one another. Ultimately, there are going to be a bunch of buildings in here, and they might all be quite close to one another. So this is a bit of a sneak peek. Anyway, I'm going to put the roof on, and then I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, everyone. Ooh, sun's setting. This might be a nice view. I've been playing around, and I did some things. I don't know if I'm completely happy with it yet, but here we go. And you can kind of, from this angle, start seeing a little bit of roughness on it that I think I like. Coming around this side, there's a lot more. I played around with the foundations as well. It's not as neat or as perfect as the other houses. Got some height variation and some different blocks in there. Also, the roof protrusions are not perfect. They're not quite as neat as they could be. On purpose, I swear. I did this with a plan. This goes all around. The idea being that these are just planks laid on top of some logs, some roof structure. And I want to come into the blacksmith real quick. I'm going to jump down from the top. Shh, don't tell the little kids. And if we come and stand over here, you can also see that on the top, it's not neat. It's not perfect, right? The idea that this gentleman, the fisherman, is not the best builder ever. And he just built his own little house here just because this is where he decided to settle. We've got our pier down here. Shh, no one tell the kids. Little interior, we're going to tackle the interior in a second. I've got the ladders over here so that people can get out of their boats quite easily. And you can just stand here and you can fish. The idea being that I can come and stand here and fish. Because I realized that in the last episode I asked for a bunch of name suggestions. By the way, thank you to Nookie, I think was her nickname, for a bunch of amazing suggestions. One of them I didn't quite get because, and I'll admit it, I have never seen the movie Gladiator. So I don't think I'll be going with that name or the Skyrim suggestion for the mining puppy, because, I don't know, Moonstone doesn't sound like a puppy's name. And I don't mean to offend you, Nookie, but yeah. I did like the suggestions for my dog, Alpha. His name is now Alpha. The wizard's dog's name is Mana, and the blacksmith's dog's name is Hephaestus. And I like those ideas, but I realized to name the dogs, I need name tags. And since I'm not doing the whole AFK fish farm thing in this world, name tags are a bit of a rare commodity. So I'm going to be spending some time just fishing off of the pier. Maybe, luckily, if I'm really lucky, I can get some name tags out of it. But yeah, back to the roof. I don't know how I feel about it. Whether I'm completely satisfied. Look, it doesn't look hideous, I think. It's not horrible. It's not so bad that I want to tear it down. It might grow on me, like the wizard hut's roof. Sorry, had a bit of a tongue twist there. I didn't really like it in the beginning, but it's grown on me. I mean, I've gotten used to seeing it there, and the fishing hut might be the same. Anyway, moving on, let's tackle the interior a little bit. So I'm just going to grab these guys. I also have some dark oak things because I want to do the furniture for the inside out of dark oak, just because we've got spruce and oak, which are both relatively dark woods. It's not like birch. So the interior, I think, should be darker. And yes, it is a cramped little space, but someone still has to live in here. So we're going to try and make it a livable space for this person. Give him an end table, and we might put a pot on it with a flower or something. Over here we are very limited for space, but I think he does get maybe might be too much. So let's give him one set of drawers and a stove with shift click with an oven. Again, we're going to put the ladders in front because I think that worked quite well for the blacksmith, and a bit of a countertop. And then he needs to be able to sit somewhere and eat, have his dinner. Right, so that I was thinking we just put it over here in the corner. Like so. It's nothing grand, it's not wow amazing, but I think it's okay. I do think it's okay. For the limited space that we have, at least we're doing something to it. And no, I wanted the white carpet in my hotbar, thank you. And I think he does need a carpet of some sort, just a little something to give a bit more color in here. I'll probably come and put in some pot plants, some flowers at some point as well. Maybe some picture frames. For now though, I think he just needs light. And I don't have any stone slabs with me. Let's go and grab them. That was silly of me to forget my stone slabs. Actually, you know what? Let's try something else. I've, in the past, in some other worlds that I've played in, I have used fences as well. And that kind of looks like a little bracket, doesn't it? Not really so much if we rotate it. I think that also works. That's okay. We can go with that this time. Let's put another one on this side, over the bed. Just to make sure that there's ample lighting in here. We don't want any spawns and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not fancy, but it is an interior. And I think it's okay. It is sufficient for what it is. That, I think, is, for the most part, the fishing hut. Maybe we should give him a chair out here as well. You know, because he'll come out and he'll sit there and he'll catch some fish. I wonder... Letters? I think that can be like a little cage, a cooler box, if we're being fancy and modern. So if he catches his fish, he can put them in there. It's a little something to decorate his pier, okay? One last thing that I was thinking about is, I don't think that he prepares the fish inside necessarily. So let's give him an outside space where he can do that. I need some more spruce slabs. Actually, you know what? Stone stairs could work. I just want to end this little bit, right? So he doesn't wander over there necessarily. And then I can't do that? Well, that's annoying. Okay, then we put it over there. What about there? Ooh, that's better. Okay. I was just thinking to prep the fish with. We give him... I don't think that would rather represent a cleaver than a axe. but it's something for him to prep the fish with. So he catches his fish, sits here during the day, casts his rod in, little relaxed life, puts his fish in there, and then at the end of the day when he's done fishing he can just bring them over here, prep the fish, maybe cook them up, or come out and sell them. I was thinking about the stalls that I mentioned in the previous clip. We might give him one attached to his house over here, and that could be his stall, where he sells some fish. If he catches excess, then maybe he sells them over there. I don't know. Anyway, I think that that's where I'm going to call today's episode. It's a bit of a shorter episode, but we were just filling in some space. The next episode I've got some bigger plans. We're going on an adventure. We're going to try the adventuring thing again. We all know that the last one, I think it was in my preparations for episode 3, that it didn't go very well for me. I ended up dying several times and I never found any of the things that I wanted to find. But this one I think should hopefully go a bit better. We'll see how it ends. But the next episode, I'm feeling we're going to go on a bit of an adventure. We're going to go exploring. But yeah, I think for this episode that's it. So if you guys liked it, enjoyed it, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this, and leave me a comment. Give me your thoughts. Tell me what you thought. I love comments. I love reading what you guys think. I love interacting with you guys. I just remember that we forgot one thing. So before we end this, our fisherman needs a door to his house. We cannot just not give him a door. He needs a door. There we go. Okay. So yeah. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.